Hello and welcome. I want to talk to you guys today about data management in Excel. And obviously, there's a lot that you can do with data. And as you dig into the different ways that you'll learn to analyze data inside Excel, you'll learn the importance of simply performing what we call EDA, exploratory data analysis. And EDA can start in a lot of different ways, but one way would be in simply organizing your data in a way that you can gain some kind of understanding. And one way to do that is through sorting. So let's talk about what sorting does in Excel, how you can sort, the various ways you can sort, and why it's important. And I like to open with an example. So you're looking at data in a data set here. This is a data set of vacations, right? So we've got different types of cruises, the length of the cruise, the price for an inside and an outside cabin, when the cruise leaves, and where it's leaving from. Okay. So you've got all these durations, you've got all these prices. And if I were to say, just off the top of my head, hey, I want to take a vacation and I want to spend $1,000, I want to go somewhere warm, and I want to stay on an outside cabin. Well, to find that kind of vacation, I could find it if I just slowly start scrolling through it. But it would take me a long time because there's a bunch of vacations in this data set that I don't need. We'll call that noise. There's a bunch of noise. There's a bunch of things in here that I don't need that's keeping me from seeing the things that I do need. So there's a couple different ways that you can organize the data, change it around, do something to it in order for you to find what you're looking for. And one way to do that is via sorting. So when I talk about sorting, here's an example that I like to give. Remember when you were a kid, you would get one of those old school puzzles, like, called 1,000-piece puzzle of the Statue of Liberty. And the first thing you do is dump that puzzle out on a table. You spread out all the pieces, flip them over, and oftentimes you look for the corners, right? Well, that process of sifting through and looking for specific things that you were trying to find to organize it and make it a little bit better, that process is sorting. And what we find in general is just humans in general, we don't like ambiguity. We naturally like order. We naturally like to sort things no matter what we're doing. So sorting is something that just makes it easier on our brain because, again, I could go through here and look for a warm vacation with $1,000 outside cabin. And what's happening really is that my brain is sorting this for me. So I'm using my brain to go through and go, no, almost, no, okay. Here's one right here. Okay, so my brain did that. And your brain gets tired just like everything else. So the more you can do to reduce that strain, to keep your brain from having to work when it doesn't have to, the longer you'll be able to work in general, the more efficient you'll be. So let's dig into this. How do you sort in Excel? Well, before you get into sorting, let's start with this. Your data needs to be organized, meaning that it needs to be in column form. Okay, so column, and the columns need to have column headings. Why do we do that? Because remember, Excel is a structured data program and it likes structured data to work with. So the data needs to be broken into columns and rows, which it is. So to sort, it's actually really easy. And there's several ways to do just a basic level sort inside Excel. So let me show you that first. So I'm just going to click anywhere inside the cruise name column. I'm going to hit the home tab in the ribbon. I'm going to go over to the editing group. I'm going to click sort and filter, and I have two options, sort A to Z, sort Z to A. Let's talk about what those mean. So when you sort in ascending order, that's sorting from lowest to highest. An easy way to remember this is when you're in a building on the first floor, you get in the elevator, you go up, you're ascending, right? So 1 to 100 is ascending. When you're on the top floor and you go down, Z to A is descending. So A to Z, 1 to 100, ascending. Z to A, 100 to 1, descending. And keep that in mind because if you happen to sit for the Microsoft certification exam, they will often say ascending and descending order. And you just have to know that A to Z is ascending, Z to A is descending. Okay, so all I have to do to sort this is I'm going to click sort A to Z. Boom, data sorted. Okay, now how does it work? It's pretty simple. It literally is just going to alphabetize the first column, and it's going to take all the data that goes along with each one of those records together. Now, quick reminder. When I say records, what am I talking about? Well, this is structured data. Data structure, or basically data tables, even though this is not defined as a data table, is really, really simple to understand, right? When you're talking about structured data, when you're talking about data tables, all right, tables are comprised of fields, okay? So for example, cruise name is a field, duration's a field, inside cabin's a field, okay? Fields have values. Baja, Mexico is a value. Cruise Hawaii is a value. 699 is a value. A group of related field values, that's a record, right? These are records. So when you sort, it sorts the records. Okay. So not just one column, all the columns, just like so. Okay. So now within that, depending on what you clicked first, that's what it's going to sort by. So if I had clicked inside duration, it would then sort by duration, but the records would still stay together. Okay. So say I click here, I go to sort, I go to ascending, descending, and there you go. Okay. So now there's multiple ways to do everything in Excel. So there's more than one way to perform a basic sort. Okay. The first way was home tab in the ribbon, group of tools called editing, sort and filter, ascending, descending. Okay. Second way, data tab in the ribbon, sort and filter group, same thing. Descending, descending, ascending. No, descending, ascending. Okay. Third way, right click, sort, A to Z, Z to A, just like so. Okay. Now that's that simple, right? So when you're working with sorting, it's pretty darn simple. So let's try it again. So if I'm looking now, I'm looking at a data set of different types of professors that are at a university like ours. Okay. So if I'm interested in simply sending a mailing list that's got all of the last names in it, well, that's easy. This is already sorted by last name. But what if I wanted to do something different? What if I wanted to send out mailing lists or send out Christmas cards based on departments or based on professor types, right? So instead of just organizing it by last name, what if I wanted to group this together by title or by department, right? So maybe we wanted to send out first something to dramatic arts and then something to student services, right? So right now, when you organize by last name, okay, it's jumbling up all of the departments, right? Because when you put them in alphabetical order, it's not paying attention to what's happening in the department. But what if I wanted something different? So if I wanted to sort by department, I could do that, right? So home tab, sort and filter, A to Z. Now that worked, right? So administration's together, advertising's together, dramatic arts together. However, now the last names are all jumbled up, right? Now, when I say jumbled up, the records are still together, but they're not sorted by last name anymore because we sorted by department name. So the moral of that story is when you use the regular sort and filter button here, it only performs a one level sort, meaning it can only sort by one category. But what I asked you for really was a multi-level sort because I wanted you to sort by department. Then within the department, I wanted you to sort by last name. So first by department, then by last name. That is called a multi-level sort. So now how do you do that? So a multi-level sort is actually pretty simple, but what we'll do is we'll call that a custom sort. So what I'll do is I'll hit the home tab. I'll go to the editing group in the ribbon. I'll go to sort and filter, and this time I'll select custom sort. Perfect. So now when you do a custom sort, you have the ability to do a multi-level sort. So I said, hey, I want to sort by department A to Z, but note that I have the option of clicking add level. So when I click add level, now I can say after I sort by department, I now want to sort by last name. And just to make it interesting, we'll go Z to A. So that's descending order. I'm going to click here. Ta-da. So I've got all of my departments, but then I've got the last names in descending order. Touche. Okay. So now with that, here's a couple gotchas that I want to show you before I let you go, because sorting's pretty easy. Okay. Here's a gotcha that I see. So I use the term all or nothing. So if you wanted to sort, the easiest way to do a sort is to simply click in the column that you wanted to be the lead of the sort. So if I wanted to sort by department, I just click in department. If I wanted to sort by title, I just click in the title column. Here's where people go wrong. They do something like this. Okay. So if I select this column, then Excel is going to explicitly sort it the way that I've told it to, meaning that it's going to look at just this column and it's going to sort. Now, the good news is Excel knows that you're about to make a mistake. So if I try to sort it, it's going to throw a warning. So here comes the warning. Gave me a warning, didn't it? The reason it gave me a warning is because I've made a selection, and if I sort it, it's going to break the structure of the table, meaning it's only going to sort this and it's not going to sort this. And when that happens, your structure, your records are destroyed, right? Because now the last names are not connected with the rest of the data. So now that happens when you do what I just did. You make a semi-selection, or you make a selection here, not even semi-selection, just a selection here. and then you sort it. And if you're not paying attention, it will do it. Like if you just click continue and you ignore the error, it will do it, and this will be destroyed. And it's pretty hard to get that back if you don't even notice that it's happened. So keep an eye out for that. Okay. Now there's a couple other interesting things you can do with sorting. You do have the ability to sort by color. So if you had a cell that happened to be filled with a color or a font color, you could move that to the top, like something that was red or something that was green. You also have the ability to do a custom sort with a specific sort order. So if I were to do a custom sort, I have the option, instead of doing A to Z or Z to A, I could jump in here and I could create a custom list, and I could simply click new list. And over here, I could type the order that I want it to appear by. So if I wanted to make sure that the president got the email first, it would be president, and the dean second, it would be dean. So I could go through and just set the sort order like so here. Just literally click new list, type it in, and it does its thing. Now that's a little bit more than we need to do in this class, but just know those are some things you can do with sorting. So I encourage you, my friends, to practice sorting. You'll do it every day, all day, and twice on Sunday. So with that, my friends, I will let you go, and I look forward to talking to you again soon when we talk about more data management and exploratory data analysis tools.